Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell. Lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and I'm here with Lee Cockerell. How are you doing, Lee?
All is well. We got Daniel, my son, back from Australia, and his wife's staying with us, and she's cooking, so we're getting a free chef. It's nice to
Well,
have.
that works out great for you and Priscilla.
Yeah, exactly. All's well. Thank you.
Well, before we get going into the topic this week, let me mention our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. If you're going to take a trip, get in touch with them. They'll make sure you have a great time. I've used them for trips to Disney, for cruises, for a trip to Vegas. So they're not just Disney focused, although they are great at Disney. They do other trips as well. You can reach them at 407 442 2694. Let them know that Lee and Jody told you to call. All right, Lee, I have a bit of a different topic this week, but I think it is really relevant. I reached out to Liz Wilcox, who's been a guest on this show, and said she has been going through the courses in the Cockerell Academy, and I said, what do you want to hear about, Liz? Oh, by the way, Liz Wilcox will be at the Creating Magic Mastermind in October, so it
Oh,
will be great to have her there with us.
great.
But one of the things she wanted to hear what you had to say, and I can explain the situation, I guess, but she wanted you to talk about meeting people that consider you their hero. And I've seen you have this, Lee, that people are just so beside themselves that they get to meet you. So I'll set some context. I've been with Lee out in public, and people just come up to him in Orlando. Lee won't admit it. In Orlando, sometimes it's like Lee is a celebrity. People recognize him. They come up, they say hello. They say, Lee, you changed the course of my career. You talked me into whatever. So, Lee, you have that. A lot of people consider you a hero, a mentor, an inspiration. And you get people that come up to you and tell you that. So, Liz would like to know how do you personally deal with that?
Well, I just accept it as I used to not know how to handle it, and I've learned now just to say thank you. I appreciate that. It really actually, and I often tell people it makes my day when you tell me things like that. I love converting from being this mean old boss I was in my early career to being a teacher. And I enjoy teaching people. And when you teach and help people get better at something, they appreciate you. And I don't think there's enough of that going around, that people are not used to somebody who will take the time. I'll meet with anybody. I got a letter today from a guy I met with over the weekend. He said he was the same thing. He said, I can't believe you spent time with us, and we appreciate it. And the podcast and the work you've done has made me who I am. And I sent him a note and said, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of helping other people now. And I think most people do. Somehow I philosophically got there fully. That now I understand when somebody needs help, I'm going to help them, and I don't need anything. I don't need any. And I tell you the feeling you get. As I ran into my old dry cleaning guy the other day. I hadn't been there in 5 years because I quit during the pandemic. I didn't have any travel. I didn't have shirts to do, and after the pandemic, I by then had bought these shirts that don't need to be ironed. You wash them, hang them up, and they're really nice. They're really expensive shirts, but when I was getting my shirts done in the old days, it was $5 each shirt, and so these pay for themselves well. But I hadn't run into him, and I always wondered. I didn't. Almost didn't want to run into him because we were really close. And he stepped out of the store. I said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" I said, "The only reason I haven't come to see you, my wife bought me new shirts that don't need ironing." He said, "Oh, don't worry about that. I sold this place 5 years ago." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, 5 years ago, back in 2021, I sold it." I said, "Who'd you sell it to?" And he said, "A Chinese lady." I said, "Oh, yeah, well, great." And I said, "But what are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, she bought it, and her mother had to go back to China because her father is extremely sick. And she called me and asked if I would run the place for 2 weeks so she could go back and see her father. And I said, yeah. And he said, I'm not charging her. I'm just going to do it to help her. And he said, how can I not say yes? I mean, how can I help the poor lady? And that again to me right there is he was happy as a lark to do it for her. He felt good about it. And it's fun. It's fun. And occasionally people ask for my autograph, and that's embarrassing. So, and I had a guy the other day that I met with him, and he brought his 2 kids a few weeks ago. And the little kids, one was like 3 and one was 5 or 6. And they came in and met me, and his wife came in, and we had finished having coffee and having our business discussion. And the kids, he wanted to take a picture with me and the kids, and I saw him again. He went to the Disney Institute after that and took one of the courses on creativity, and he really enjoyed it. And he got in touch with me to tell me that he had gone to Disney and he'd taken the classes and he'd gone in the parks and all of that. And he said he went home and he had taken his kids to Disney, and he went home and he asked his kids, what's your most favorite thing at Disney? And they said, Mr. Lee. I said, oh man, I beat Mickey Mouse. But it's, just be nice. I think all of us learning to be more kind. People have enough problems. Just help people. And if you know something, I think you ought to be teaching it. And I think you do that, don't you? Things you know, you help other people. You help other people get started. And it's something. It is worth more than we know. It changes us as much as it changes them. And people need help. But a lot of people have nobody to talk to, nobody to get advice from. The world's kind of a fragile place right now, and there's a lot of anxiety. So if you can help it, go help somebody. So yeah, I like it. And do I like people liking me? Of course. Of course I do. And I think that's also a key. People are successful. It's because people like you, We all know people that are really smart that are jerks, and we don't want to be around them. We don't, just treat people respectfully. And yeah, so it's something we could all think about. We're all busy, but you have time to help a lady across the street, or to buy somebody a coffee, or give a homeless person a couple bucks, or there's plenty of things you can do to make somebody's day. And in fact, it'll end up making your day, maybe more than theirs.
Knowing that people look up to you, Lee, do you worry at all, or think about, or change your behavior to make sure you're living up to expectations of people that look up to you?
Not so much. I think what happens is I'm sure at a time in my life I played that game of, putting on, being the big deal and all that, or being helped. But I think when you practice a certain way, it becomes who you are. You become that. You may start out faking it, and when you're in the right environment and the right culture, and you're doing the same things every day, you become that person. And I think I have become more. I'm not going to say in the past that I didn't in some way manipulate somebody's attitude about me by maybe overdoing it, but you get so much positive feedback that it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had people reach out to me that'll say, "Oh, Lee agreed to meet me for coffee," or "I'm going to see Lee somewhere," and they're all excited, and I tell them that, look, you'll enjoy it, but Lee is exactly who you think he's going to be. If you've listened to the podcast, you know Lee. If you've been in the Cockerell Academy, you know Lee. Lee is Lee all the time. And I think that's one thing that has surprised people. I've had people that met you for coffee, then reached out to me and said, it was just like I was listening to an episode of the podcast. Lee is exactly who he is on the podcast. And I think people really like that about you, Lee. They look up to you. You might be a hero or a role model, and then they meet you and you're exactly what they thought you would be.
you got to work hard not to think you're a big deal in life, because nobody cares about big deals and egomaniacs and people who think they're hot stuff. And no, the only people that, helping people is, and there's a lot of people that do help people. Just think about nurses, teachers that don't make any money and they do it anyway, and people that are out helping the homeless. And I mean, it's there. We have a lot of those people in America that help other people because they want to, not because they have to. And yeah, so.
So, Lee, I think if someone has a leadership position, it doesn't have to be executive vice president of Walt Disney World or vice president of Magic Kingdom. If you have a leadership position, you are in a role where you very well could be a role model for somebody. So what advice do you have, realizing somebody might look up to me, even if it's just because of my position, and I need to be a good role model? What advice do you have for someone to be a good role model?
Well, I think for me it became easier and easier because I am able to control my emotions and not overreact, and I got a reputation for. You can tell him anything. He's not going to overreact. He's not going to raise his voice to you. He invites anybody to come and see him if you want to. So I think the reputation gets around. People talk about it. Everybody is talking about all of us behind our backs. And it depends. Are they saying good things or bad things? And so each time you have somebody comes to see me and I help them, it might have been a waiter, it might have been a dishwasher. But that's the last time I see him, but I guarantee you they go out and tell people, he's okay, you can go see him, he's a nice guy. And I don't want to ever be somebody going home and not being able to sleep because Lee's a terrorist and intimidates him, because I had that experience early in my career. Well, people were totally intimidated by me because I was autocratic and insecure and kind of made people do things instead of want to do them. And that's insecurity. I tell you, anybody that raises their voice to you or is autocratic or intimidates you, that they have a self-esteem and self-confidence problem, and they play that out by trying to be the big deal that their brain thinks they need to be, and nobody's impressed by that. Actually, it's pretty sad that you intimidate people, of anybody, that somebody would go home and worry about their career or their life because of how you treated them. I mean, I don't even know how anybody can think they have that power to do that. Why would anybody want to make somebody feel insecure? And but I didn't know that when I was younger, and I had to get over my own insecurity before I could help other people get over theirs. And I think education, experience, exposure, knowing people. I know people from all over the world, everywhere. I have no ill feelings about any culture, any color, any sexual orientation, any religion, zero. And once you get there, just, people have issues, you help them out. And sometimes you help them, sometimes it doesn't help them, sometimes they still go astray. Yeah, it's like you give all the advice you want to your kids, but that doesn't mean they're going to do what you want when they get older. And yeah, it's just an attitude. It's and for me, I love it, and I love helping people. So I was with somebody the other day for breakfast. Greg Clayton, a friend of mine. We were having breakfast. He's an IT director at Disney, and another guy came over, and a guy who used to work at a coffee shop where I went all the time. Now he's in this restaurant working as a waiter. He came, "Oh, Lee, how are you? I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me over there, blah, blah." And he left, and Greg said, "How did you help him?" Because, yeah, if people hate you, they don't come over. If they're, so... treating people equally, I guess that's it. We're all respectfully and equally on one. We're all just trying to get through life. So you got to work on that to think, why. You got to really challenge your own emotional reaction to things too. Of why do I do that, and how do I settle that down? And you and I've talked about that before. It's don't overreact. Don't stay. Always remember the person. and don't affect them, and don't ever make them insecure, because that's hard to get over. It creates a lot of problems
Yeah.
for people.
Well, this has been great advice, Lee. And I will also say, if you like getting advice from Lee and want more advice from Lee, we have something brand new, only available in the Cockerell Academy. It's called Lee AI. And of course, AI means artificial intelligence, but Lee will tell you, in this case, it means authentic intelligence. We have created an AI version of Lee with hundreds of hours of content. It was all the podcasts we've done, the courses we've created, Lee's books, our community calls, just anything that we have, we've plugged it in there. And now you can ask it questions about anything: leadership, management, customer service, employee retention, career advice, and Lee will answer the AI version of Lee. And it's only available in the Cockerell Academy. Everyone who is enrolled in the Cockerell Academy gets it in their account for free. Go to cockerellacademy.com. It's the only place you can get the new Lee AI. And Lee thinks it's wonderful. That was one thing I was always nervous about when I built it, is, oh no, I'm building a virtual version of Lee. What's he going to think? And so far, Lee, you seem to like it.
I'm slowly learning about AI, so I appreciate the quality of knowing that everything in there came from me and it's not random. So I hope the listeners will trust in it, that this is what Lee would have said if you would have called him.
Yeah, there you go. You can find it at cockerellacademy.com. Enrolling in the academy is the only way to get it right now. Thank you for joining us for an episode of Creating Disney Magic. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.